What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks once again for tuning in. So getting ready to wrap up the trading day here. The P&L for the day is $3,075 with a super big commission today of $369. For those of you that follow, you guys know I like to do a lot of small trades in and out, scale in, scale out. So sometimes I'm going to have a little bit bigger commission than maybe some other traders. But with that being said, we are finishing the day at about 2,600 all said and done with the hefty commissions I paid today. And for some shorts, I paid for short locates. So with all that, we're coming in right at about $2,600 green for the day. You guys have some live trades and audio coming up from today's morning trading session. You will see that I stopped trading and stopped recording with a slight loss on the day and then ended up making money back later in the day as I traded solo. So enjoy all the live trades coming up, guys. Again, remember I added solo short here on top of that green candle and right off trend there. And we basically are back to break even there. So I closed out the 1,000 shares short on solo as we move down there. That's going to allow me basically to get back to break even aside from the shares that I've already purchased. So right now I got to get over about 200 P&L in the day for all the shares that I've purchased short with solo today. So as long as we get over 200 bucks today, then we're not really losing any money today. So I'd be happy about that. All right, trying to add 100 shares long to BABA here. Got the fill of 100 shares. The move's only going to work if we can get up and through the 264.35. So through 264.35 is what we really want to see here with BABA. Solo still bouncing back pretty well. Uh, yeah, Baba. I mean, we started to do the early morning dip and push towards a regression trend, but still no significant move thus far. Still have the 100 shares long right now. Solo continuing to squeeze up in the morning after that first initial drop. Yeah. Yeah, solo with a good bounce. Not off the level we would have wanted, but it's bouncing. That's a good buyback candle so far there with Baba. Well, it was for a second. Yeah, I might just have to sit in these 100 shares for a little bit before the move readjusts. I mean, yeah, we'd like to see Baba getting back over the price of 263.76. That's struggling. TTM's yellow and red currently. So going to give Baba another second here, just kind of sit on it. Yeah, Solo's starting to pull back pretty harsh there. It's actually I was actually debating getting short on top of that move, but I did not, as you can see. So far, trade still not working here on Baba, still trailing lower. And it does arguably look like that might sell down more. So might just decide to close on Baba. We'll see. I'm going to give it another second here. We still have slight trend support like at 262.74. So I could let it drop to 262.74 just to see how it attempts that support hold. It doesn't appear like there's a ton of selling pressure on it. Yeah, coming into first deviation support there. I kind of feel like it's going to fail, but hey, it's all good. Yeah, so it's first deviation support, no hold. So let's say it does a full drop. I mean, where would you really go to? Go all the way down to there? I find that hard to believe. Trying to add some more shares long on Baba. Was unable to get a fill when I wanted. All right. Added another 200 shares long on Baba there. We started to get buyers coming in. Try to add more shares long on this. No fill. Trying to add more longs. Still no fill, no fill. Oh, it's a pain. Okay, got 300 shares long, Baba. Even though I wanted to get them all the way down there at 262.73, was unable to get in. So currently I have 300 shares long. It would have worked well if I was able to get the fill down there where I needed. So now we want to see if this is the retrace move that Baba will take us back towards maybe even the prices of 264.34 to 263.96. So there goes a trade reversing back into the green with Baba. Solo starting to sell down a little bit. Should have really took that short when I was first thinking about it. Yeah, we want BABA to stay over 262.96 in the immediate. If it does that, that's good. Look for the trend to continue up from that point. Hmm. Yeah, not the early morning run I was essentially looking for with BABA here. And we're still holding the trend on that right screen. Added another 50 shares in that dip too. Yeah, it looks like that might flush. Yeah, there it goes. Darn it. Solo kind of going through a little short squeeze right now. Yeah, this might be where I cut this trade off on BABA. We'll see. We still got the deviation support here to get through, which it kind of looks like it might. There's a good hold. That's what we wanted to see on that support, was a hold. And there goes a snap. So there it goes. Should have took off just before the breakdown there, but didn't. Really, we can't have even a bounce day? I'm sad. That candle's getting sucked up pretty quick. So I'm going to delete these old drawings, readjust. Yeah, maybe it's a down day for good old BABA. I'm trying to think about what I want to do here. And might as well just accept the loss, whatever. All right, so closed out BABA. Ended up taking a loss there, about 300. So back down to the same P&L as earlier. It's unfortunate. I can't get any fill on Solo. It's pretty ridiculous, even selling right to the bid. So trying to go short on Solo, they're not going to give me any fill. Now they're going to give me a fill when the sell price isn't that good. Figures. All right, so still adding short Solo. And this one, we're basically going to see if we can get that trend at 912 to fully snap and sell to the downside. Yeah, I was trying to get a fill right before they sold off. They wouldn't do it. Now that we're at a worse selling price, will allow me to get some fills here. So figures. So adding up Solo short there into 2,200 shares short now. All right, starting to get that down move on Solo now. Don't have any targets on the downside right now till about 893 to 887. So it would be nice to see us crack all the way down to those price levels. We'll see. I mean, if it's meant to be a true short, we'll probably fade now. If not, it goes into sort of a choppier day. At least for the short move, that is. Started covering a little bit of the share short, only covered 400 shares, instantly squeezed the stock back up. So again, Solo it's really challenging, being a very challenging trader. And there goes a short squeeze. Yeah, maybe we're just not going to fight this stock today. We'll see. Well, it's still just going to sit on the Solo trade for now. Not going to do a whole lot with it. I mean, that was the first attempt at breaking the previous dip support. So not surprising that it didn't actually break down fully there. Might just honestly need more time before it does that. Let's take a look at the longer term chart. I mean, yeah, longer term chart pulling down. Yeah, so you can see so far Solo's holding below the resistance trend on the right, which is good. That's what we would need to have this move continuing to press lower. The selling volume on Solo is still fairly high. With over the past two candles, the selling volume is not that high, but within this down move, of course, it was. So it looks like we might do a short squeeze here. So these are the shorts that are getting nervous. They're about to squeeze out. He said AYRO testing the VWAP. Let's see. Wow, AYRO is doing this really funky sideways consolidation. Like it's trying to break up, but it's really just been sitting, fighting, staying down. I mean, Solo is just such a pain. I had a feeling shorting it today would be this exact same scenario, just back and forth, grindy, choppy, no follow through resolution, no direction. So basically, it's going to sit in this short with Solo for the time being. I'm not going to really be doing too much more else. Yeah, I figured Baba would probably end up recovering. Let's see, Baba. Yeah, Baba recovers, figures. Just too early on the dip myself is all that happened. So that's starting to come back nicely. I mean, there it goes. You just went right back to regression trend. So you really want to go through the 264.41 regression trend. That's what's going to give you the bigger move to the upside. I'm not going to go long on it now because, well, I traded it terrible earlier. Wow, they just really will not give you fills on Solo. It's pretty sad. So up to 1,800 shares short now on Solo, trying to get fills on the top of these candles. They really wouldn't give it to me. So there goes, yeah, Baba kind of selling down right off the 264.55 price, which again is that regression trend mark. Yeah, we really want to see Solo break the price of 913. That would put the bears back in control on Solo to the downside. Still got the bulls holding this 913 price there on Solo. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, Solo's just being a pain. They're not allowing you to get the good fills. They're making you basically trade within the candles, making it like nearly impossible. Yeah, KXIN stock is overbought now at the $5 price. It's more of a selling location on the intraday chart than it is a buying location. So if you're watching KXIN, you probably want to be less long bias at those prices. Here goes Baba breaking up. So we were right, just wrong timing on the move for the day, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, if we waited for that to set up a little bit more, probably would have been probably correct on it. Here goes Solo just holding this 913 pointlessly. Just making life challenging right now. And there goes a little short pop because we didn't break down. So now the shorts are going to get even more nervous if we squeeze over that 922. If we go over the 922, then we're pretty much going back towards the 933. And that's the thing, is I might take that trade off if we go over the 933, because then that means the short's going to take far longer to play out. And it's like, do I even really want to sit around and wait for that to even potentially be wrong? Probably not. Probably not. So again, the 913 price is the key to be below on Solo, but we held pretty well there. So I added some more shares short here on Solo. Still couldn't get the total fill. They gave me like 200 shares at a time. We're like, oh, we can't get any more. Yeah, the iffy thing is if you look at the volume system, I mean, it's pretty much, it's all buying. There isn't really a whole lot of selling that's happening on Solo anymore. So part of me just feels I should take the short off and then forget about it. Yeah, so I knew Solo was going to end up squeezing out because of, well, the pattern that it was forming and then the volume, and that was pretty much it. And because I was in it for so long, just being in it and trading it lets you know how things feel. So like, I was short here and added. So like, here's a main thing, right? Is like in this move. All right, so you have like a flag set up. Hold on, no, drawing tools aren't correct. So yeah, we had this flag set up. Okay, drawing tools still aren't correct. Come on, Thinkorswim, get it together. There you go, bud. All right, so here we have this flag. And you got some like higher lows, arguably. And then there's just no one selling that move, right? So we go from coming down, down, selling volume to that dip. That would be the dip, right? If this wedge was going to crack down, we would have sellers in this dip, right? They'd be trying to sell it down. We look and there's just no one selling it, primarily buying. So anybody who is short looking for that wedge to eventually kind of fade that way, well, If you don't have people selling it that way, it's going to go the opposite. So this is where all the shorts started to cover. I covered before it started to happen because I knew that it was probably going to happen. So I wanted to cover before everyone else covered, because if you try to cover when everyone else is covering, then you're going to get forced up. So that's primarily how I knew it was a wedge. We were coming towards the end of a wedge, and there was no one selling the wedge down. It was just basically stalling. So anybody who had been short, including myself, are going to have to be getting out soon, because the move would most likely go that way. So we are really the reason the move went up. All the shorts covering their long are the reason that it went long, primarily, to be honest. You're coming down to trend support though on that pretty soon, around the 486 price. So good chance you see that down to say 486 and then a little bounce. You know what? I'd be willing to buy a bounce here on KXIN. I'm gonna do it. I bought 1,000 shares. I'll do another little scalp trade here. This is something that I might be able to get behind making a little bit of money on. Willing to see KXIN down to the 486 price too before we actually bounce. Well, I don't think I averaged it down good enough. We'll see. We shall see. All right, selling that bounce, covering those shares, and pretty much all out of that trade. 355. Woo. Okay. So that brings me down to 122 negative P&L with the 200 shares, or the shares that I bought. So we're still negative on the day, a couple hundred, but. So yeah, that was just a quick scalp trade off of that deviation price. So I went in that heavy 6,000 shares just to do a scalp trade. So it's like, I can do that every once in a while and just make a quick win. Looks like the bigger move might pop there, but that's what I was saying is in that move, really the opportunity would be from this green line. And that's partially why I sold so quick, and it was a heavy position. And if I hadn't already had a loss on the day, it'd probably be a little different. But you can see it's looking for a move from that green line to essentially that green line on the right. So that move there is 10 cents potential there. And then, so of course it went a little higher. There would have been nice to keep holding that, but that's essentially that move, right? So from this green to that green. All right. So granted, this looks like it has a little bit more momentum, so it's still pushing up, but those are common trades that I'll do in a counter trend move. Is I'll wait for the fall to happen to a trend. Then I'll do a counter reversal trade back to the trend on the right. But yeah, anyways, you get the point.